Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Bonga Dada Bonga. Bonga Dada Bonga is a platform for women's voices, and I am your correspondent, Dashanaba King, along with correspondent Teresa Kemp, who is on leave, who serves as our show commentator from time to time, and we will bring on other show anchors and co-anchors from time to time. Our stand-in co-anchor tonight is none other than Coach Raquiyah. She is an expert health and wellness professional from the Republic of Panama. Uh, she's with us tonight, and she's going to speak on mental health. Let's bring her in so she can say hello. Coach?
Greetings, everyone. What a blessing and a pleasure to be here tonight. And I hope that we all come away with a better understanding and awareness of what mental health is and why it exists within our community, and some tools that can be utilized to facilitate that situation. Thank you
Oh,
so much.
very well. Very well. We'll be back to Coach in just a bit. We're just going to go ahead with some other aspects of the Bonga Dada Bonga show tonight. Thank you, Coach. Give shout outs tonight, please, to Coach Salaga, Chief Hatsu, Chief Lamanya, Nana in Ghana, Gadamore Aisha in Ghana, Sissy, Ernestine, Principal Malungu in Namibia, and hello to all of you too. We're happy that you're joining the Bonga Dada Bonga studio tonight. And once again, we are a platform for women's voices. We are a site, a point, a place, a space that strives to amplify voices of women, voices of women who are also survivors who have been historically silenced. Bonga Dada Bonga joins a growing list of service organizations and supporters of women and women causes in countries across North America, Latin America, the Pacific Rim, and Africa. You will hear phenomenal, extraordinary stories, even heartbreaking stories from some of the most courageous, powerful, and inspiring women and girls. We also bring in men into the show, but they're some of the most finest people you'll ever meet. Each and every one of them is a superhero to us and the team here at Bonga Dada Bonga. We're very honored and proud to share their colorful biographies, their experiences, their narratives, their testimonies, and stories with you. Coach Raquiyah, I'm going to have to ask you to turn down the music. What is Bonga Dada Bonga? Okay. Bonga Dada Bonga is to dispel the myths and misconceptions about what women roles really are, what women can do, and in fact, what women are really already doing around the globe. In fact, women are doing a lot of things. And therefore, the Bonga Dada Bonga show is an excellent opportunity to generate visibility, familiarity, understanding, comprehension, realization, and support for women's aspirations, of which they are very, very many. And we are proud to support and promote all of those visions of women. You will find many cultures, from a diversity of cultures. You will find us talking about women. Namibia, South America, Ukraine, Israel, Kenya, and other countries. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to Bonga Dada Bonga, which is a platform for women's voices every Thursday, live at 12 noon New York time, 7 p.m. East Africa time. Now, how does Bonga Dada Bonga work? Well, various women in leadership roles and influencers will moderate the show. Queen Mother is here as a correspondent. Nana is here as a correspondent and producer. So we have anchors and co-anchors, and we have Coach Raquiyah with us tonight, who is a co-anchor on the Bonga Dada Bonga show. But these co-anchors are from a very colorful spectrum of journalists. They can be campaign managers. They are business women. Okay. They are political analysts. They come from various women organizations. They are publicists. They're educators. They're moms. Okay. And there are people who just enjoy life. Many of them could even be students. But we bring on a nice array of colorful guests onto the Bongo Dada Bongo show. Okay. And what they do when they come on, they will deliver their opinions, their commentary, and their analysis on the matters at hand. Let me be clear that often their opinions and their views may not be the views of Bongo Dada Bongo. So do know that people express their opinions and their views. Now, let's turn our attention and catch up on a few developing stories. And we're only going to do a few of them tonight. Okay. Three jets take off one after the other to start the day's training, mostly scenarios involving combat and aircraft interception. Some have gone on real life scrambles or emergency calls to intercept suspected Chinese aircraft. These routine exercises have taken on a new sense of urgency, according to Colonel Tanaka. He says, we're very nervous. We're very nervous. We've been facing airspace violations of Japanese territory every day. Chinese activities have expanded in number and quantity. They involve a large number of drones, bombs, and reconnaissance planes. They are many active aircraft carriers in this area. Naha is a point and a part of Okinawa Island, which is on the front line of any potential conflict between China and the self ruled island of Taiwan. Wow. I didn't know that that island was self ruled. Okay. How about that? Okay. Next order of news we want to speak on tonight is that officials in Columbia state that four children missing since their plane crash in the jungle have been found alive, and they are well more than 2 weeks later. That's right. Let's give a hand for that. Their mother and the other adults on the plane, unfortunately, were killed in the crash. The government's Child Welfare Agency, ICBF, said it has received information from the field that the children had been found in good health. A pilot said he had also been told the children had been found by indigenous people deep in the rainforest. Soldiers who were taking part in the search, however, have yet to see the children for themselves. The Cessna 206 light aircraft jet has been and was flying from Ararakukura, Ararakukura, Ararakukura. How about that? Deep in the Amazon jungle in southern Colombia to San Jose when it disappeared in the morning of May 1. Wow. It, its pilot had earlier reported, Rob, please put your speaker on mute. Okay. After a huge search effort involving more than 100 soldiers, the plane was finally located and the people were found. The bodies of the pilot, the co pilot, and 33-year-old Magdalena, who was the mother of the four children, were found at the crash site in Calcutta province. Okay, let's go to another piece of news. Ukraine war. Just speak on that for just a little bit here. Russia launches the ninth wave of missile attacks on Kyiv this month. Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, has been attacked from the air by Russia for the ninth time this month. Kyiv's authorities said it seemed all incoming missiles had been destroyed. They thought that all of them had been destroyed, but debris falling from the air caused some damage in 2 districts. One person had been killed and 2 more wounded in a missile strike on the Black Sea port of Odessa, officials say. Blasts were also heard in the central western regions of the country. There were over 29 out of 30 missiles that were launched by Russia overnight were shot down. Ukraine's Air Force told us in a statement. More in the future. Okay, that is it for our headline news for tonight. And pretty much we went with headline stories, as you can see, so we could tell you a little bit more about what was going on. All right, we will have no special for tonight, but what we will have is a feature, and the feature is going to be co-anchor Raquiyah, and she's going to be bringing us a piece tonight all about mental health. But here's what I'd like to say. We've moved into a new month. We're now in the month of June, and there are several awareness celebrations in the month of June. We have LGBTQ plus Pride Month in June, PTSD Awareness Month, Gun Violence Awareness Month, Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month, and Immigrant Heritage Month, all occurring in the month of June. Now, we will touch on each of those awarenesses during the month of June. However, tonight, due to the fact that we had several blackouts during the month of May, which is also Mental Health Month, we're going to bring you that story tonight. Okay? The green ribbon is the international symbol of mental health awareness. So we're going to invite you to wear a green ribbon, even though we're out of the month of May and you may be just be getting the information now. Feel free to wear your green ribbon for that reason and that reason only. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to bring on Coach Raquiyah, who's going to be with us and talk to us about mental health. Coach, first, I just want to thank you for being on the Bonga Dada Bonga show tonight. And I know that this topic is very important to you because it's right in your wheelhouse, as we say, as you are a mental health professional. Thank you once again for being a co host on Bonga Dada Bonga. And thank you for bringing our feature story tonight on mental health. Coach?
Queen Dr. Naba, thank you so much. And it is indeed a pleasure to be able to come on and talk about things that matters to us most. I want you to pause for 1 second and I want you to close your eyes and imagine being snatched from the bosom of your mom or dad or all of your parents also being snatched, placed on ships across the transatlantic ocean to different parts of the country, world that you know nothing of. Just imagine the trauma of being a witness to people dying on those ships, bound together like animals. Just imagine some who decided not to continue on and jump ship. Imagine the psychological trauma that began. Just imagine, and bringing you to the present of the continuous and constant duress, the killing of our men, the abuse of our women, the homelessness, the joblessness, the inequalities, the disparities within the health system. It's an ongoing, constant challenge that we face. And just imagine that we find ourselves now finally bringing to the awareness of everyone the reasoning behind mental health instability. The Webster definition of mental illness, or the psychology definition of mental illness, is mental disorders or health conditions that are characterized by attention in uh, alterations in thinking mood, or by via some combination thereof associated with mental illness. The 10 most common mental disorders are various types of psychological disorders affect people of every sex, age, gender, ethnicity, and socioeconomic group. Healing mental health disorders, autism spectrum disorders, schizophrenia, bipolar disorders. It is estimated that 2.6% of the US population is diagnosed with bipolar disorders. Another disorder is obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. Another disorder is anxiety disorders. Some of the most common mental health disorders include OCD panic attacks and phobias. I'm sorry that my phone keeps going out. And phobias. There are spend days and weeks worrying about a single, they will spend days and weeks worrying about a single situation, as with panic disorders. Social anxiety can lead to agoraphobia. Agoraphobia.
Agoraphobia?
Agoraphobia.
What's that?
Sometimes causing sufferers to become overwhelmed with fear. They are activities or even refuse to leave their homes. Agoraphobia is like someone afraid to get in the elevator, someone
Ah.
afraid of crowds,
Mm-hmm.
someone afraid of height.
Mm-hmm.
It can show up in many different forms.
So what you're telling us is we actually, and then this is interesting. I mean, I know we all go through whatever we go through, but I didn't know that a lot of these things had really been identified as being disorders as such, right?
Yeah,
I don't have a fear of elevators, and I do have a fear of height when it's super, super, super high, right? But
yeah,
I will tell you that I have been mountain climbing a few times in my life, and I did it, but I got fear when I looked down and I saw that the cars on the ground looked like ants, which means we
I,
were
I
up.
I don't believe I don't believe that's agoraphobia.
Oh, okay, great.
Agoraphobia Agoraphobia is the person going into a panic attack, like cannot breathe. Literally, they are paralyzed.
Oh,
Yeah, it's over the top. To
mm,
us, to
mm-hmm,
an average person, it's over the top. But they are seriously fearful
mm.
of the crowd, the balcony, uh, going over the bridge. You know, when the car is going over the bridge, they go into a panic attack.
But
So
who wouldn't go into a panic attack if they're in a car that's getting ready to go over a bridge?
it's really, I think you're thinking normal, but it's not a normal reaction
Okay.
to a situation. And so
Mm,
this is why it has been like an OCD person. You're sitting down, obsessive compulsive disorder. You're sitting down and the minute that you lay the cup up, they pick it up. Uh, they have to mop the floor every night. They have to. Everything has to be in a certain horizontal or vertical way. You go into the refrigerator. Everything is lined up, parallel. Everything is exacting. The books are exacting. Everything is in a given position. And when it gets out of that position, they lose it. They literally lose it.
I see.
And so those are not normal reactions. Okay. Mental
Would
health
those really
disorder.
come under mental health, though? Would that
Yes,
really
ma'am.
fall under mental health?
Yes, yes, yes.
Wow.
Yes, mental health disorders and substance use disorders can concur, making both disorders uh, necessary.
Hmm.
So not only do they suffer from these disorders, but now they go to numb themselves with alcohol or substance abuse. Now we have compounded the problem double.
Mm.
Now there's a double situation going on, triple, because some of it is also societal and environmentally impounded on.
Mm.
More than 1 in 4 adults with a serious mental health disorder like anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, or personality disorder also has substance use. Did you hear that?
Wow.
More than 1 in 4 adults with a serious mental health disorder, for example, anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, or personality disorder, also have a substance abuse disorder. Individuals with a dual diagnosis must receive treatment for both issues.
Mm.
Eating disorders is another mental health disorder.
You want to turn that music down a little bit. It's at the same volume that you
I'm
are.
going to turn it off, period, because it's disrupting me. Well, not
Yes.
really, but
Okay.
eating disorders are some of the common mental health disorders in the U.S. and include bulimia, nervosa, anorexia nervosa, binge eating disorders, and others. These disorders are marked by extreme behaviors which usually are rooted in complex causes, biological and and psychological causes, including depression and anxiety. Another disorder is personality disorders, which cause individuals to have rigid and unhealthy patterns of thinking, functioning, and behaving. An individual with a personality disorder has trouble and relating, perceiving and relating to situations and people, leading to significant problems in relationships, social activities, etc., work, school, and so forth. Major depressive disorders, common personality disorders, includes antisocial personality disorders, avoidant personality disorders, and borderline personality disorder known as BPD. Mood disorders. Mood disorders have varying degrees of severity and can be difficult to diagnose. However, they're some of the most common mental health disorders in the US. In addition to bipolar disorders, mood disorders include major depressive disorders and dipnic disorder. Major depressions are one of the most debilitating mental illnesses, usually reoccurring throughout a person's lifetime. And um, uh, uh, depression, right? A deep depression immobilizes you and often finds you unable to move, unable to make any decisions. Sometimes they don't even take a bath for 2, 3 weeks. They're just unable to get out of the bed. Now, I'm going to share a little story here. I went through a depressive moment when I realized that I had to raise the 7 children by myself, and I was I had to pray to God.
Uh-huh.
I had to really pray to God and ask for some help to get me out of that mental state.
Mm.
At one point, I even went to Family First. I sought counseling because I was really in a bad space. And so it is with that in mind that I have an affinity or an interest to mental illness, notwithstanding that I've come to understand and realize that African American families, people of color, tend to want to brush that under the table, tend to ignore it, uh, not acknowledge that something is wrong with a family member. And this is where we find ourselves getting in trouble. Understanding that society or placed a stigma on being mentally challenged, right? Uh, it was not accepted. I remember in the early 70s or late early 80s when Ronald Reagan, ex-President Ronald Reagan, God rest his soul, emptied out the mental institutions. All of the mental institutions in America was emptied out, and all the clients were placed on the streets, homeless. So if they did not
Mm.
have a family member, yes, look it up. If they did not have a family member, this was the beginning of homelessness in America.
Wait a minute. Let I want to repeat. May I ask for a repeat? Want to make sure I heard what I heard.
Uh, I am saying to you that in the late 70s, early 80s, when President Ronald Reagan, God rest his soul, emptied out all of the mental patients out of the mental institutions and threw them on the streets. If they did not have any family members, no one to take them in, they were rendered homeless. This can be
Ah,
fact checked and verified. And
okay.
in my opinion, that was the beginning of the mass exodus or beginning of homelessness in America.
Hmm.
The
Okay.
vast
So you
amount of
so you saying
homelessness.
that's in your opinion. Have you has that been documented anywhere? Or you're telling us that's your opinion of what happened under Reagan?
It has been documented in illicit, uh, the book Illicit Mental Disorders
Hmm.
by Harriet Washington. She
Hmm.
documents where America in the late 1800s made a decision to make mental illness, capitalize on mental illness, and how mental illness was transferred or viewed as a business transaction. And
Okay.
thus the beginning of ignoring, or if you did not have the money, not getting the help that you need. We'll leave that alone, and I'll go back to that in a minute. Symptoms. Some of the symptoms
Thank you.
include, yeah, some of the symptoms include fatigue, lack of focus, changes in appetite, and thoughts of suicide. People with dysthymia have symptoms that are less severe but longer lasting for periods of at least 2 years. We're still talking about depression, severe depression.
Let's have those again. I want to put them in the chat room. The symptoms of depression are what
Hold
you just
on.
gave us.
Includes fatigue, lack of focus, changes in appetite, and thoughts of suicide. People with dysthymia, dysthymiA, have symptoms that are less severe but longer lasting for periods of at least 2 years.
Well, I can say this about some of the symptoms, Coach, that you pointed out to us. I can say that uh, during the 2022 year, for about 12 months, I was in a situation where monies that I normally receive on a monthly basis, we call it Social Security or pension, did not come to me. And so for 12 months, I was in what I call my desert storm. And some of the feelings that I began to note for myself, because I was writing about what was happening in my life. And I remember very well during that 12-month period when I had a lack of focus. Lack of focus was, it was difficult for me to be doing these shows. It would be difficult. I would do everything I can. I'm a person who believes in preparation, and I would prepare to an extent. But a lot of the things I wanted to do, I just couldn't wrap my mind around getting it done. I just want to be quiet and be still and don't want to talk to anybody. I also remember that I definitely had a change in appetite to the extent that I had to promise my family that I would eat whether I wanted to eat or not. And you know, when you don't want to eat, you don't want to eat. But I had to make that promise. So, and I did have thoughts of suicide did come across my mind. The way the thoughts came across for me were like this: Lord, why is this happening to me? I'm the one who spent 150% of my 100% time giving and serving. Why is this happening to me? And it made me question whether or not I needed to be here. That's how it happened for me. Not, I didn't ever have the thought that I would do something to myself, because you have to figure out, I guess, what you're going to do if you're going to do something. So I never had thoughts of doing anything to myself, but I did have those thoughts of why is this happening to me, and do I really need to be here? Back to you, Coach.
Well, I want to share that during COVID, it was one of my most challenging times as well. And I'm sorry that that happened to you, Queen Dashanava. And we
Mhm.
still have to act upon that situation.
Yeah,
But every day when they would put the pictures up of those, remember when they were putting people in the truck, the people that were dying from COVID, they were wrapping them up in a trash bag and storing them in the freezer of a truck.
yeah.
Or when the families could not get to the people that had COVID, it was all just so tragic,
Oh, yes.
and the numbers just kept rising and rising, and all we could do was sit still. Now I'm aware that there was more that I could have been doing, but no one was focused on anything or anyone.
Hmm.
It was as if we were It was as if a ship came from the somewhere alien
Mm,
and covered everyone with something.
mm,
It was sheer silence.
mm,
I was never afraid because what I did was take what we were told, the proper precautions of not to overexpose myself.
mhm,
And so I sat on my porch, I listened to the birds, I stared at the trees, and I journaled, but not as much as I usually as I'm accustomed to.
mhm.
And so I will call that some sort of depression.
Okay.
But
Yes,
I think that
exactly.
we all were affected
Oh yeah.
from 2020,
Yeah.
and now it is showing up in various forms.
Mhm.
And some of us just don't have the character nor the constitution. Some of us are not just strong enough. And like I told my sister before, I shared with my sister, we cannot blame the victim. And the purpose of me doing this show is that in within our community and without of our community, we have a tendency in America to victimize the victim,
Mhm.
and therefore and to put shame on something that is a natural occurrence due to
Mhm.
environmental and post traumatic psychological trauma and duress.
Mm.
And we as a people have no platform to discuss such stated condition.
Mhm. Mm.
And so we all hide behind smiles and
Mhm.
affirmations and positivity. And yet, deep within, we're boiling with anger, anger, and anger because of the way that we're being treated
Mm.
unjustifiably. And so, yes, mental illness needs to be talked about, and we need to start telling the truth. We need to start when people ask us, why are you so angry? What is
Mhm.
going on? Like when the doctor asked me, why is your pressure so elevated? I said, because I have a lot going on, doc. There's a lot going on in my life. And
Mm.
pardon me if my pressure is a little elevated. I'm under duress. I'm under trauma.
Mhm.
My mama is, we have to deal with our mama. There's a lot going on. And so I am here to share with those that I love,
Mhm.
cherish, and appreciate that it is okay to be dissonant, disconnected partially or totally from reality. It is okay. All I am asking you to do is to get help, to talk to someone,
Okay.
to be very careful of what you eat because that matters too. But most importantly, not to alienate yourself. You
Mhm.
see,
Mhm.
part of this whole situation is the way that we're living now in the
Mhm.
age of alienation. We
Mhm.
have we have the technological digital uh, uh, trinkets,
Mhm.
and we overindulge in those things. And when you get on the bus and you get on the train and everybody's ticky tick tick tack ticky tick tick tack, no one looks up, no one says hello. Everybody's in their own
This is true.
self-created
This is so
reality.
true. Mhm.
And so Another extension of that is that we have shied away from using our hands, creating things, working in the soil, knitting, crocheting, sister circles, brother circles. We've shied away from the things that kept us somewhat stabilized. Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so now mental illness is showing up
Mm-hmm.
in many ways. And so my suggestion is that we return to some semblance of reality and to some semblance of social emotional intelligence, to get in touch with the inner child and to connect with your God power within.
Mm-hmm.
So let me finish up. Other forms of depression include seasonal affective disorder and postpartum depression. And postpartum depression can be very, very dangerous because uh, the mothers get into such a state of being that they may harm the baby, or i.e. harm the baby and themselves. So this is something that the doulas and the midwives and the nurses must pay attention to. And this is why I always suggest that when someone has a baby, that they get in touch with let you lead, and at least have someone come out for several weeks to to keep some, to keep some type of conversation going, a check-in, so to speak, because it sneaks up on you. It sneaks up. It literally sneaks up on you, and it appears in various forms, right? A few treatment centers get help. Get help. And here are a few suggestions of mental treatment centers can be found in Pasadena Villa, Smoky Mountain Lodge, Cedarville, Tennessee, the Villa Orlando Stables for Autism Program. Here is a number to call: 888 888 368 1968. In, should I say that again, Queen?
I got it. 888-368-1968.
Yes.
Is a
Anyone that
number to
needs,
call.
yes, to get help. Infectious Madness by Harriet Washington. The surprising science of how we catch mental illnesses, social dissonance, or break a shock trauma, duress, extreme racism, non-validation, acceptance, disconnect from God within, PTSD, excessive, insurmountable amount of losses. And some of us have experienced that. Let me say that again. PTSD, an excessive, insurmountable amount of losses. You cannot bear it anymore. Like back to back, back to back, back to back. Or soldiers who have experienced people before their eyes, limbs coming off, dead, shot in the head. That's post-traumatic stress syndrome. Okay? Trauma backlash of COVID-19 pandemic, pre and post effects and effects on the mental psyche, extreme, excessive, brutal police brutality, and murders of Black men, boys, and girls, sex trafficking, human trafficking, organ harvesting, poisoning,
Mm.
poisoning of the waterways, the aim of at the food we eat, severe homelessness in America, and overt and covert systemic prevention, prevention in building generational wealth, stability, medical apartheid. In the Art of Living Institute, breathing assists us in attacking some of those traumas. And may I suggest to all of us that we learn or relearn the art of breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And I urge all of us to get back in touch with our spiritual self
Yes, yes.
and really take this, what's coming upon us, very seriously, but just be aware, be
Mm-hmm.
present, and focus. We need not do anything because self destruct, the law of reciprocity, and the law of retribution are always in effect.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much,
Oh,
Queen.
thank you too. Thank you too for this wonderful piece, talking about mental health. And one of the things that I've actually learned is some of the things that occur, I wasn't thinking of them as mental health. I was just thinking of them as what was occurring. All right. And I am amazed and astounded to hear how much now comes under this category. But I will say to you, coming out of COVID, as you have stated, coming out of COVID, as you stated, that a lot of us have aftershocks from that. And
Yes.
then I can say, then if more, it's like doing trauma for me. It seems like every week or every 2 weeks, it was somebody I personally knew who was checking out. And it just had me in a state of just constant tears. And I cried my way through it, but I wasn't telling myself that I was having PTSD. I just was able to acknowledge what was happening. And yes,
And and for these reasons, this is why we need to be more gentler, more kinder, more compassionate, more caring, more understanding, more involved with each other. And we cannot just jump to conclusions because many of us are suffering and we're not even aware that we
mhm,
have been affected and affected by our current existing conditions.
mhm. Wow, that's so deep. That is just so very, very deep. And I want to repeat to everyone out there that green is the color for mental health. And we celebrated, of course, mental health in the month of May, but we're getting ours in now. And we're talking about it. We're talking about the different types of mental health. Some of them you may not think of as affecting you in that way, or no, 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 no. You didn't think of it as a mental health disorder, and for sure, a lot of people from the communities of color don't want to go and see a psychiatrist, or don't want to go and see a counselor because in those societies, going to see them has such stigma on it. But I know one thing: the Europeans have always gone. They've
Well,
always gone.
but Queen Dashanaba, may I say this?
Yes.
Um, I feel that some people do not go because even those in the health care system come with preconceived notions and ideas that we don't hurt as much as everybody else. That somehow they view us. I don't know how they view it, but it's less supportive of our complaints and concerns. I say to you that the reason why I am connected to the situation is because of what I observe in the classrooms. And then 10 years ago, we all had to go and get certified in recognizing mental health challenges within the classroom.
Ooh.
And I am glad that I took that seminar.
Okay.
Because just like now you are learning some things, I learned that we all may be a little bit touched by an angel.
Well,
existing.
Well, 1 in 4. 1 in 4. 1 in 4.
You know what
I think we all are touched.
So listen. No, it's a serious matter. But I'm gonna tell you another thing. Laughing heals, and you need to laugh at yourself a little more often. Walking and forest bathing assists you to decompress and see another perspective. And so everything that I'm talking about is all interconnected. And in America, they want to teach us that everything is disjointed. It is not. Everything under the sun is connected. And if we bring ourselves back into order, and I'm not going to talk about the spirit because folks get offensive, but if we begin to learn to obey nature, to obey our God within, half of the situations and conditions that are facing us will not be. We have become, some of us, disobedient. And some of us have come to believe that we can do our thing without ramifications and consequences.
No.
And they are consequences.
Yes.
It's opportunity cost. And one must settle, breathe, and begin to truly look at this situation as to the issue of self-healing and what is it that we can do for ourselves in the meantime. Stop looking without and look within.
Look within.
Look, the answers lies within us.
All right. I'm gonna put that in the chat board. Stop looking
and lastly,
and look.
What we're seeking is seeking us.
Yes.
What we are excuse me.
Be blessed.
The very things that we seek are seeking us.
Oh, that is so powerful. Just that statement alone. And I do believe that. And I remember for myself getting in touch with that reality at the one and only Hillside International Chapel and Truth Center. Like what we're seeking is also seeking us. So that just that broadened my horizon to whatever it was that I was seeking, to even create another space of serenity and another space of openness, so that that which I was seeking would have a way to find itself to me without me blocking it off. So it really opened me up to just being there in that open space of receiving.
And one of our biggest challenges among people of color is being transparent. Transparency.
Mm,
Don't hide and go seek.
mm.
Just open up to someone that you can trust, one or two people, and be or become transparent. There is nothing wrong that is happening to you. You're not at fault.
Okay.
I repeat, you're not at fault. We must stop blaming the victim. And there's a book, the victimization of the victim. That
Woo.
was one of the first books that I read when I entered college at University of Detroit. Uh, and that's when I decided I was going into law enforcement,
Mm.
and that's when I decided that I could no longer be in that. When I was going to be a lawyer. So, but I don't want to have anything to do with the justice system of America. I'm
I
telling
got
you,
it.
I
On
had
that
some.
note, on on that note, on that note of having nothing to do with the justice system in America, we're gonna get ready to wind down the Bonga Dada Bonga show for this week. And in so doing, I want to invite you to please go to Soul Vegetarian Restaurant because it is good to you and it's good for you. It is vegetarian food like you've never known, you've never seen. You got to taste it for yourself, and you can do that by going to the restaurant. Miss Aisha Defala, who's been appointed by the president of Kenya to be Kenya's blood ambassador, wants me to remind you to please visit a depository bank near you and donate blood because Kenya and the world needs it. The enlightenment of discipline. Discipline is a practice that strengthens our ability to weather challenges. You can tune into that link and find out more. http dot slash slash blissipline.life. And that's spelled BLISSIPLINE dot life. Woven into the Fabric is a book which can be purchased via Amazon by Sahai Esabi SB Farrell. Wow, that's interesting how something new just popped up on. I don't know how what that. Well, I really don't know where that came from. But we were doing our announcements, and I'll just go on and announce that on every Wednesday, live at 5 p.m. Kenya time, you can catch the Queen Mother Speak Show. Please tune in on Wednesdays 5 p.m. Kenya time. That is 10 a.m. New York time, and it is 7 a.m. West Coast time. We also want to remind you that to tune into Bonga Dada Bonga on next week, where we will be having, there's a new movement now that's called the He for She movement. The He for She movement. And these are men who really support and get behind women. We're going to be talking about some of them during the month of June, just as we will be talking about some of those other awareness agencies that's happening in the month of June. For example, the Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness, Immigrant Heritage Month, Gun Violence Awareness. Certainly, we'll be speaking on that. Okay. PTSD Awareness Month. So we will be speaking on that on Bonga Dada Bonga this month of June. Once again, thank you for tuning in to Queen Mother Speaks. Ooh, thank you for tuning in to Bonga Dada Bonga. That was a slip of the tongue. Thank you for tuning in to Bonga Dada Bonga. As you well know, we produce a few shows, and there is a new show that's coming out. We won't talk on it just yet because we'll be promoting it in a few weeks. But there is a new show coming out that we will also be talking about and asking you to tune in and listen to. I want to take this moment to thank members of the original Bonga Dada Bongo team, which would be Ms. Rose Omwara, who is traveling in America at this time. We praying for her safe entry, which has happened. We're praying for a very successful doings on everything that she's choosing to do, and of course, a safe return to Mother Africa, in particular, the country of Kenya. We also want to take a special time now doing our announcements, and we want to talk about Lucille's. Lucille says, sweets you want to eat, then baby, you better call Lucille because Lucille's got mouth-watering stuff: sweet potato pie, lemon muffins, blueberry muffins, all types of what all types of breads that you can eat various dips with, but they do specialize in their desserts. So if it's sweet you want to eat, Queen Mother's going to ask you to go ahead and give Lucille's a call. Let me bring up that number for you for Lucille. That number is 0732 567 327. 0732 567 327. We also want to remind you, all right, that you can tune in to Diabetes Peer Support Group every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Is there a number for that? Is there a number?
346
All right, let
244
me put it in. Let me put it
7887.
in. 34 what?
346-244-7887, and that has been suspended till the beginning of August.
Ah, okay.
We are revamping and reorganizing, and we're going to be changing the time because we still cannot get a time where everyone comes on. I know people are interested in finding out how they can manage or reverse their diabetes disease. However, somehow the time is not clicking. And so I am thinking that I'm going to change it to 8 p.m. in the evenings.
All right. Well,
Meaning
you'll let
that,
us know, and you'll let
yeah,
us know in enough time that we
we're
can begin
dangling
to
with the
plug
time.
in. All
Okay.
right. Our closing quote for today is this: the earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's greed. The sun does not forget a village just because it is small. Look after the land, and the land will look after you. This is Bonga Dada Bonga signing out on Thursday, June 1. We'll see you again on next week. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful afternoon. It's a beautiful evening. Bonga Dada Bonga.
Bonga dada
Facebook.com.
bonga.
Bonga
Bonga
Dada
dada
Bonga.
bonga dada
Bonga
bonga
Dada
dada
Bonga.
bonga.
Bonga Dada Bonga. Every Thursday,
Speak, speak, sister,
facebook.com
speak.
slash Bonga Dada Bonga. Thank you. It's a beautiful day, and we look forward to having you listen. Some of you people tuning in, send us the names of people you'd like to be on the show, and we'll bring them in. We'll need their name and contact. We'll take it from there. Bonga Dada